Welcome. Today, we're going to unpack two terms you hear all the time, the Internet and the World Wide Web. Are they the same thing? Let's find out. Hello, students. We're diving deep into the Internet and the World Wide Web. It's kind of a classic case of mistaken identity. One is the physical foundation, and the other is all the information that flows across it. Getting this right is really the key to understanding how our entire digital world is put together.
So, let's start with a big question. You've probably heard people use these words interchangeably, right? You might say you're surfing the internet when you're actually browsing the web. But here's the deal. They are absolutely not the same thing, and figuring out the difference is going to make everything else about our digital world make so much more sense.
All right, so let's settle this debate once and for all. The best way to think about it is like this. You have the physical infrastructure, and then you have the services that actually run on top of it. Okay, first up, the Internet. This is the hardware. We're talking about a massive, global network of computers, servers, all those routers, and even the giant cables running under the ocean, all of it connected together. The easiest analogy? Think of it as a global system of roads and highways. It is the physical stuff that lets data travel from point A to point B. Now let's talk about the World Wide Web, or what we all just call the web. So, if the Internet is the road system, then the web is all the stuff that travels on those roads. It's that huge collection of websites, documents, videos, and pictures that you access using the Internet. The web is a service, and it's built right on top of the Internet's infrastructure. This chart really breaks it all down beautifully. Over on the Internet side, you've got the core technologies like TCP/IP. You can think of TCP/IP as the post office for digital information. It makes sure all the little packets of data get to the right address. It handles things like email and online chat. Now, on the web side, you're using different rules, like HTTP to get to all those multimedia pages written in a language called HTML. So here's the key takeaway. The Internet is the actual network, and the web is just one, a really, really popular one, of the many services that runs on it.
Okay, so if the web is this massive collection of pages, how in the world do we find anything? Well, that's where web addresses, or URLs, come into play. Let's take one apart and see how it works.
So every single web page out there has a unique address. We call it a Uniform Resource Locator, or just URL for short. It might look a little complicated, but it's really just a standard format. It always starts with the protocol, then the address of the website, and sometimes a specific path to a page or a file on that site.
Now let's zoom in on the part of the address you probably recognize the most. It's kind of like a puzzle, where every little piece tells you something specific. You've got the host, which is often www for the World Wide Web. Then there's a unique domain name like Hotter Education. After that, you've got the domain type like .co for a company, and you might even see a country code like .uk for the United Kingdom. Each part just slots together to give you the exact location you're trying to get.
Hey, remember that protocol part at the very beginning of the URL? Well, that's basically the set of rules for how computers communicate online. And the most common ones you're going to see are HTTP and HTTPS. So, HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It's the basic set of rules for sending files, like text, pictures, and videos, across the web. But what about when you're doing something important, like typing in a password or your credit card number? Well, that's where HTTPS comes in. That S is the magic letter. It stands for secure. It's a version of HTTP that encrypts your data, basically scrambling it up so it's unreadable to anyone who might be trying to snoop on your connection. And you can see this in action every single day. Just look up at the address bar in your web browser. When you see HTTPS and that little padlock symbol, that's your sign. That's how you know your connection to that website is secure and your data is being protected. It is a small but incredibly important thing to always look for.
All right, we've talked about the infrastructure, the roads. We've talked about the information, the cars on the roads, and we've talked about the addresses. So what's the final piece of this puzzle? It's the tool we all use to bring it all together.
And that tool is your web browser. Software like Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. A browser is basically a translator.
It sends out a request for a web page, it reads the HTML code that comes back, which is the basic building block for all websites, and then it displays it as the colorful, interactive site you see on your screen.
And of course, modern browsers are just packed with cool features that make navigating the web way easier. You can set a custom homepage, save your favorite sites with bookmarks, look back at your browsing history to find something you lost, and my favorite, juggle a whole bunch of websites at once using tabs. These are the tools that really let you harness the power of the web.
So if you only remember one thing from all of this, let it be this simple idea right here. The internet is the hardware network, the wires, the routers, the physical stuff. The web is the universe of information that travels on that network.
And I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. The internet actually existed for years before the World Wide Web was even invented. Imagine that for a second. What would your daily life online be like if you had the connection, the internet, but no websites, no browsers, no links to click on? What would you even do with it? It really makes you think, doesn't it?